What's going on, my favorite people out there? It's the Badwolf, once again bringing you guys more fire information. As you guys are brilliant, all and each and every one of yous, you've already read the title. So this is going to be the final video on the authentication process. So we were the first ones to bring you that years and years ago at this point in time. My how the time has flown. Since then, so many people are now using this in their process to help with their documents. So I'm going to try to cover everything we've learned to date. And unless there's something major, we're going to, at least on this channel, we're going to close the authentication process out. We've covered everything. We now know all the things we need to know. And now you can just use it. I'm not trying to keep making lots of videos on the same things over and over and over. But as we developed it and learned about it, once again, this is all of us just learning things in commerce. So before I get going, don't forget to hit that bell, like, and subscribe. Thank you guys in advance. For those people who want to be part of the Wolf Pack to learn and see and get the inside information behind the scenes, that is on YouTube, and click the join button and then pick a level that works for you. For all other people who want to be on my other YouTube channels, I do have some, and other platforms, including Instagram, Telegram, TikTok, whatever else I have going on. You can find all of that, all of my other channels on Black Site 32 on the social media page. Also on that site, you can find out how to get started. You can find out information on whether it's a micronation, if you need help with, rent and mortgages and all that other stuff is on there, including information on consultations. All the files we have paid and we have free. So go through all of them. Information on getting started and all the other various things that we do here. So before hitting me up, please go through those materials and watch the videos and learn. All right, as always, please do not get scammed. Verify that it is me. I will never be in your DMs. I will never ask you, how doing are you in my group, or any of that stuff. I will never ask you for money or payments or any of that stuff. Everything is done through Black Site 32. Okay, so unless you're in one of my verified groups, then you can hit up the admin, which should be me, or one of the admins, but I will never reach out to you ever and say, this is me and I need you to invest in whatever else. Send me some money. Won't happen. So if that does happen, report that person with the quickness. All right. Let's get going. So years ago, when we started the authentication process, and all these trolls and gurus out here were like, oh, Wolf, there's nothing to that. And now half of them are all using it. Well, that started here. And the reason why is because, so first I'm gonna give you the story, then we're gonna jump in all the things. So please bear with me. I'll try to be quick. It's the first time I've ever said that. Okay, it's really not, baby. So it started off because when we were doing the process for the state citizen passport, or AKA the national passport, AKA the non-citizen national passport versus the US version, we were getting a lot of pushback when people had their birth certificates, which are different than the certificate of live birth, and the heirloom version. So in this video, we're also going to talk about everything that we know about the birth certificates as well. We're going to cover 2 and 2. Okay. So pay attention and stay till the end. All right. So with the authentication process, I guess I really should have started off with the birth certificate stuff, but yeah, we'll do it in reverse. Sometimes you got to flip it up, smack it, rub it down. No, flip it and reverse it. I throw my thing down, flip it in reverse. There we go. All right. So when we were getting the letters back saying that by your birth data, you are in fact a 14th Amendment U.S. citizen, we understood something, me and my little team, that that document is different than, I guess I'll kind of combine them a little bit. The one that you get directly issued from the state that gets in your hands is a result of the heirloom one not being purchased or taken, by you guys. Then it goes off to wherever it goes off to. Vatican, we think. Then they offer you and provide you with the birth certificate of live birth. Okay, they don't tell you that you can make your own and get it notarized. They want all the business. They want all the smoke. So they issue a hospital official one that you can get from Vital Statistics. You can get from that hospital if they still have it. Usually after 10 years, good luck, but they should have it if you were born in the digital age. They might have it in the archives, so you might have to request that you're willing to pay the fee for them to go in the archives and get it. Otherwise, you can ask them, you want all the birth records, information, medical history you have available. You can also use that. On the side note, you can also use a Bible page or a DS-10. You can, no, so we said Vital Statistics, you can use your county, you can use the hospital. The government, you can utilize a DS-10, you can make your own, you can use a Bible version, okay? Either way, they want one of those private ones, which are really the power. When you also, just like when you buy your vehicle, do you know that the bill of sale is really it's like the equivalent power of your MSO? I mean, they're giving you all the information essentially right there and full authority to have the vehicle. But then they ask you, just like the states do across the board, they want your bill of sale for your vehicle. So guess what the certificate of live birth must be, or the heirloom? The bill of sale, the power in the documents themselves. So they take those old crappy ones and then they issue a brand new 2 version. Here's 2 copies. Let's bring you into the state as a resident, which there's nothing wrong with that if you know what it is and you use it accordingly. We just don't. We use it for everything. And there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you want to do that and you know what it really is. So once you have that document, we now know that by what we are calling multiple legal personality disorder, you legally have your private side and your public side. Your given name is then combined to mesh through alter ego as your legal person, because the all caps name, upper and lower and all caps version of your name is a legal entity. More so, all caps is a business version, full loss of rights. Upper and lower is only partial loss. Under Black Law's Dictionary, Capitis Demutio Maxima, or their legal styles manual, okay? So when you have that and you put everything underneath the all caps name, instead of creating a private trust and private things, you're becoming a public legal official, a trustee, a public person, a public transmitting utility in their legal juridical hemisphere, okay? They create a juridical person, strawman. All right, so when dealing with the state, and they sent us back documents stating that that's birth certificate that you provided us is what it is. What they were saying and not saying was that this document is issued by the states. We recognize you as a national, but we can't recognize you as a national the way you're trying to do your passport, because your birth document is effed up because you didn't use your certificate of live birth or your heirloom or other original documents. So we learned that in order to, a technique that was provided to us by people who might have some knowledge potentially associated with these events, we're like, well, the only thing to do is to change the jurisdiction. So that's all the information I was given. So I looked up, how do we change jurisdiction of a document? Well, it came right out. You need to either authenticate or apostille something. Now, to certify is to make it so that it's true. This is a true copy. This is a true, real thing. To authenticate, and sometimes the states have mixed this up or use it loosely, or they don't fully understand what some of them are actually doing. Authenticate is to bring something out of the federal or Hague jurisdiction, okay, which means to bring it into the non-Hague or the free world. To apostille or apostle is to bring it into their jurisdiction, into the Hague. Now, to bring it out, you need to find a country that is, well, non-federal, non-Hague in their paperwork, commercial, corporate jurisdiction. They're free. Now, for me at the top, I know Egypt is non-Hague, okay? So you put non-Hague on there, you pay the fee, you send it in. Now, one of the things that we want to talk about here is that after talking with some of the agents and whatever else, we know that essentially you only need to authenticate on one level, but there are three. There's the county, there's the state, and there's the federal. So you can do all three, but you will find certain states like California and New York do not authenticate, or at least when you're born, they typically have to authenticate it at the hospital, but the ones that they issue are Apostille certified, and they themselves will not authenticate or remove the jurisdiction or change the jurisdiction for you. In that case, you need to go to the federal Department of State, get their DS 4194, and then you make it so. Make it so, number one. For the rest of you guys, and there's some states that don't do it either, so be careful. And when you ask them, if you talk to them, can I use this in a non-Hague jurisdiction? Remember, the United States of America has been perverted. So now their paperwork is actually federal or Hague, okay? Kind of swept that in there. So don't try to authenticate it for the United States of America because their paperwork is Hague level. Now, if you want to bring it into the Hague or Apostille or Apostle, then you can go right to the Department of State's website and type in Department of State Hague list, and they'll have a full list of Hague countries. Be careful when looking at the lists out there that say that they're Hague or non-Hague. Go to the official source to make sure. There are some crap, non-updated, scammy, whatever sites out there. So if you want to reverse the process, go to the Department of State, look on there for a country, and if you don't see the country, then it's probably non-Hague, but go through all of the lists to make sure. So do you have to authenticate on more than one? No, you only really need one. It's like if you're drinking grape Kool-Aid, you don't need to put more grape Kool-Aid into it. It's great. Though I will say it does taste grapier. So yes, if you want to indicate to them that you want all these levels to know, you can go for it. But some of them are going to tell you no, because it's already been authenticated. So you do not need to double authenticate, but I will say this, I've seen it, I've seen triple. Not all of them will do it. So at the end of the day, really, if you can get it done once, it's really all you need for general purposes. Yeah, you're letting them know, but it's not like, as far as we know, they don't go, oh man, he double authenticated. Let me just check this off here. Man, we almost had him. As far as I know, they don't do anything like that. They just kind of go, oh, it's already been done. Why are they asking us? I don't know, people are stupid. Just send it back, but keep their money. Or authenticate it, just put another one on top, and we're going to keep their money. So it's really up to you. So don't be mad or weirded out depending on your result if you try to do it more than once. But if you feel that it wasn't done properly by your state, I'm not going to mention any states who are doing it the wrong way, then yeah, send it to the government and they will do it because they owe that to you as an obligation. They have to provide all the services. Some will tell you that they will not do it because your state can do it for you because they want you to do it in your home. Hey, your state gave it to you, they can do it. All right, so now to clarify. Authenticate is to bring out, apostille or apostles to bring in. Hague is federal, non-Hague is free and non-federal. Okay. You can use it for your various processes and things of that nature that you see or deem fit. All right. We talked about some potential reasons why you'd want to do that in another video, so watch those first before sending me questions. But if you do want to do a consult or whatever, blacksite32.com. All right. So I think that really covers all of it. Well, so like I said before, your county may have a copy. They're supposed to. The state may have a copy. The hospital should have a copy. The government may have a copy. So you can check all those places out. I already told you about the other ones. These are not the droids you're looking for. Yeah, that's really it for the authentication process. Depending on where if you're going to deal with your state, you're going to want to reach out to your Secretary of State unless they have a third party. So you literally just Google authenticate birth certificate in the state of whatever, and you should have the secretary and then the number filed for that, the fee, all that stuff. Get it, download it, use it, good. They may be backed up. You can go directly to the Secretary of State, but make sure you call phone first so that you know if they're accepting visitors, you got to wear a mask or whatever else, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Someone must be getting a delivery. Other things with the authentication, the Department of State, that might take some time. You can pay for it to be expedited. So be prepared for that. I would recommend getting at least 2 done, maybe 3, but it is not mandatory. Depending on what processes you want to do, like maybe say age of the majority, that one's not coming back. Then you at least have 2 left, one for passport process, etc. But remember that they will send your stuff back with the passport process. So that's pretty much it for that part of the authentication. Now we're going to get into the birth certificate and the certificate of live birth and the heirloom and whatever else. So if you create your own and have it notarized by family members, mom, dad especially, older, grandma, anybody who was there to witness, then that's awesome. That is an original document, and can be used with all of your other materials that you want to send in to prove your identity. The DS-10 is also, it's their document, but it also can be used. And all of these I would recommend getting notarized and all of that. Oh, I digress. One of the things about the authentication process, if you get your states will only do certain documents listed on their site. The department has a list of what they'll do, and theirs is more extensive. And if you click the drop-down button, it'll tell you or show you all the different types that they will do. And then they've got a unique one that says other. So you can click other, and if you send it to them and they deem it proper to be done, they can do it. Now, we made a video where we talked about that if you're going to do that, a potential option that you could do is when you do your affidavits of standing, notice I said standing, not status, standing, as per the GPO manual, GPO styles manual from the government, that in the section where it talks about nationalities, that if you're born in Florida, you're Floridian, you can copy that section, put it in there, and use that as your own document declaring your proper standing as a national and a native of the several states, referred to as a Californian, New Yorker, Wisconsinite, Arkansan, whatever, other, blah, blah. Because as we know, they do not like to issue, nor have they thus far to anybody I've known through the hundreds, if not thousands of people have gone through me, a certificate of nationality. Okay. So if anybody has one, send me a copy, tell me what the secret was, how you got it, what department, whatever. All right, so let's get back to the birthing document. So we talked about the different types: Bible, creating your own, DS-10, certificate of live birth, birth certificate. But now let's go over the process and where these are located. So the first one you get from the hospital is called the heirloom. It's the master original. It's the one with the baby feet print on there. Okay, you can make your own version of it, like I was talking about previously. Which is the master Willy Wonka golden ticket. The certificate of live birth is the next intermediary. Okay, it's private, mostly private, but it has a little bit of a public side, because remember, the hospital is operating with their zip code and commercially and for profit. So that puts you in a slightly, but you're mostly still private, so don't trip. All right. So that certificate of live birth, and then there's another one, and we'll get to it in a second, is the next best thing. It's like a car's bill of sale. It is the next best of the master document, still mostly in the private. They will then, and some people have done and have what we've termed ninja babies or private babies. There's no law that says you have to register your private property. What they will say is that U.S. citizens have to register. So if you are in fact filling out the documents, you tell them you're a U.S. citizen, then you're going to have to abide by U.S. citizen codes, rules, laws, edicts, and registration information. But if you guys want to have private babies or whatever else, we can do a consultation or watch my video on that. We've done hundreds at this point in time successfully. But be advised that if you don't do it right, and even if you do it right, they're still you're going to see them go from, oh, it's beautiful, lovely. You must, Carl, you do this. They're going to weigh on you. I've had ladies tell me, men tell me. Matter of fact, I might do a video with one of my people, I believe his name's Casey. They successfully did theirs as well, all across the board. Some people are doing home birth. Some people are doing, I forgot what you call it, when you don't go quite to a hospital, but there's like an intermediary kind of thing. And even at the hospital, we've done them all. But if you're going to do that, you need to prepare yourself for all the ins and outs that they're going to throw in you when they get the demon face and freak out on you. All right. So, but I digress. We also then cover in our consultations, whatever else, that it's not exactly necessarily a bad thing to have it. It's not grand, but you can utilize the benefits and privileges that may not be there if you do things completely private. So you may not want to deprive your child of all of those things. There's things that come along with it, but there's also a way to play both sides. Educational information only, because that's what they do to us. So the certificate of live birth is the next best thing. Now, here's the thing. The certificate of live birth, much like the heirloom one, here's something I lightly talked about in another video, and it came up again, so I'm going to bring it up again. Almost all the things that are truly American, hear me, American people. This is for the public, so you're a U.S. citizen, that's all you are, and so that's what you do. Then this channel for all those people, public agents and enforcement and whatever, this is not for you guys. You guys just go to the next channel over. I think they're doing something 2 doors down on the left. All right. This is for the patriot who is an American and operating under the Constitution for the United States of America. This is for you. All the American documents are landscaped. Ooh, nice automatic camera guy. I'm gonna pretend like I have my camera AI guy. Okay. American documents should always be landscaped. If it's American and it's free, it looks like this. This is de jure. This is real. Your poll deeds and your whatever's are all going to be like this, landscaped. The land is longer than the scape. Okay. This is what your heirloom one is going to look like. This is what your certificate of live birth is going to look like, with all the signatures and details and names, word, dates, times, prints, whatever. Now let's go to the birth certificate, because that is created based off the information on the certificate of live birth, but the birth certificate comes in portrait form. Okay, you see the difference. Everything legal is going to be in your normal, 11 by 11 and a half by 8 or whatever it is. This way, portrait represents a legal document, legal doctrine, legal entity, contracts, all the good stuff. So really, if you really wanted to create a declaration of who and what you are, your standing, you want to communicate with them, I would landscape all my information. I'd autograph it in red, and I wouldn't call it an affidavit. Remember, the affidavit means, really, that word means in their jurisdiction. If they use black, you should use probably blue, maybe sign in red, especially if it's your own document. You get your own seals, your own family logos, put them on your document. You keep the original, you send them the copies, because that paper is a vessel. And if you just launched your vessel with your product on it, you should claim it. And I would also put on there non-commercial, private sector citizen. I would also probably put on there non-negotiable, just to make sure they don't monetize my document. So we know that the legal formatted document, which bears your name in all capitalized or upper and lower, which is legal typography for a legal person, a legal entity, a juridical person within their political hemisphere of law, public law, contract law, opposite of private law, private sector citizens, nationals, living, they deal with the dead, debtors. We are creditors. Okay. Different set of laws for the different sides of the hemisphere. We're up here on land, they're here underwater. Maritime jurisdiction, admiralty. So when you look at the birth certificate, you're going to notice that they birth, meaning a ship's birth, into their jurisdictional waters, a legal person, which is separate and distinct from a living person or natural living private person. They gave you something to do business in their waters, so use it. This is why in my video recently I said, stop sending your affidavits. That doesn't mean that there's one or two spots where you can, don't, I mean, you want to put it with the county, great. Maybe a spot or two, district attorney maybe, or attorney general, one or two here and there. But all they're doing is business, so they don't want your affidavits. If you need to deal with court, you send in your stuff ahead of time, blah, 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 blah. But if you're moving right, you shouldn't even have to do any of that. Because, and not to sound like them, and no, I'm not controlled opposition, they're doing business and they don't want their business day interrupted, especially at all these random places where you really don't have to send any of that stuff to prove anything. We don't need their permission to be private, people. Stop letting these people in these videos tell you this is, how to do it, whatever else. No, I know, I'll back up. Yes, I was one of them. But see, I continue to improve so that we can get the process down, and then we don't need to beat a dead horse. You don't really need to pull your straw man out of the system. You can control it through a UCC or common law copyright, filing it as a business name, getting it registered, your DBA through Minnesota. You can also do your your age and majority with the Minnesota Rule 220. And then, yeah, those are places, key places where you want them to go. But all the other across the board, 20 different places, no, just wasting time and money. And as we found out from one of the people on the inside, most of the time they throw those away anyway. So stop. Don't do that. Just, if you want to be private, create a private name, create a private entity, move it through a trust, move it through an unincorporated association, move it through a tax-exempt business, move it through a foreign trust, whatever it is, that's how you move. So we're off that, other than the key places where we need to do it for those key reasons. So once you get the birth certificate, if in fact you do want to get that, you're going to notice there's not going to be nearly any information. Time, weight, this and that, blah, 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 no signatures, no footprints, No, none of that, because they didn't birth a living person, a natural person, a human being. They gave you a persona, a public transmitting utility, a nom de guerre, which is Latin for war name, a straw man, a legal entity, a business trust. They gave you an employee document. They brought you in as, it gave you a, by alter ego, a legal entity, which is separate and distinct from a living person by their book, their laws. And they gave it the same name, which is alter ego, or also known as dissociative legal personality disorder. They gave you something that looked so close to you, put it so close to you. By alter ego, you started to believe it was really actually you. The upper and lower case and the all upper. Those are not physically you. So they gave you something to wear like a mask, because a mask is a persona. So they gave you a person. That's why I say this person must appear. It's a mask. You have to wear the mask to go into their house, into their jurisdiction, into their sandbox, or you can't play the game. Take your ball and go home. So if you do want to do commercial things, you have to be a commercial entity. This has been discussed in federal law and in the Supreme Court have rulings on this, okay? Now, the people who failed in the various courts is with the legal name is because they weren't arguing that the legal name is different than the given name. They were arguing the spelling, which is the same spelling is correct. So it's not that that is not the correct spelling of your name. It is the correct spelling of your name. The typography and the format is what is distinctly different, because in their books, it's known as, in their legal internal manuals, it's known as, it's mentioned that the word for this particular entity within their jurisdiction needs to be conspicuous. It needs to be made to look different. And so that's what they did. They chose the ancient Roman to capitalize format. Very well played. And that is how they use it to designate and differentiate a living person from a non-living entity, or one that is mixed, which is capitis medius in Black Law's dictionary. So we know portrait, we know what it is, we know the lack of information. Now, the one last one, now that is the one you want to authenticate. You don't have to do your heirloom or your certificate of live birth, because the county by law does it automatically. They have to bring you in as a private person under the Constitution of the United States of America first, and then they can ask you through one of the ladies who works at the hospital, through a somewhat interesting process we'll leave alone for right now, to then take part in obtaining the state of created birth certificate. Now, mind you, in the word birth certificate, to show a difference of jurisdiction, the hospital will call it the heirloom record, birth record, or life birth record, certificate of live birth. So they're certifying this was a live birth. But the state of it can't do that, so they have to just call it a birth certificate, because they're birthing a vessel, a public transmitting utility. They can't put the word live in there because they didn't create you. The state did not, you did not come out of the state's hoo-hoo. But you did become an employee of theirs and a federal citizen and a citizen of their corporation as a 14th Amendment U.S. citizen, entitled to the benefits and privileges therein. So when that legal person was created on that document, that's why before then, when you're in the area on the land that you own, but also have an overlay of a corporate jurisdiction, imagine being in a house that's all filled with some endo smoke and it's from here up. Well, you own the house, but that smoke is the corporate layer that goes over the same physical land that you occupy. They own key buildings and key locations, but not everything. So when you become this legal person, that's why before that moment in time, or if you don't get one till later on in life, you by law, from their inside looking out into the free world, so from inside the corporate window, you people out there are considered non-residents. Oh yeah, or private citizens, or the natives of the several states, or constitutional citizens, private persons, private natural persons, that they can't control you or have jurisdiction over you unless you do something criminal. You damage property, you hurt somebody. Those are criminal things. All the rest of that stuff are statutes, which are done by them, the lower courts, which are Article 1 legislative courts, and do not have direct judicial powers unless you've done something that gives them the ability to do something. But even still, they're not true courts. Some judges are, but most of the time you're dealing with a magistrate, which is why federal court is where you private people are going to get your remedy in higher courts. So there's another document, but once again, that's the document that you should authenticate to bring it out of their jurisdiction for the reasons that you need for your processes or whatever you have in mind. Mind you, this is all informational purposes, so vet it for yourselves. And thank you to the trolls who have for the most part stopped bothering me. One, because they know I don't answer half my emails anymore. Two, because if it does make it past one of my people who checks my emails for me, they're going to make sure I never even see or hear about it. And also because I've told you guys plenty enough times, I'm just not going to respond or answer, because do your own research. You're going to bother me about how you feel when you can't prove it legally. And yes, to the lawyers too, same thing to you, because I'm reading your books and I read some of them better than you, but no, I do not know it all. Nobody knows it all. I'm just good in the spots where I'm good. That's what she said. So that one should be authenticated for your purposes. Now there's another one that's in between that we never really talked about. And that is the certified copy of your certificate of live birth. So what happens in some states, because not all states are bad, not all of them are crooked. Some don't put QSIPs on there. They're not making money off of you like some of the other states. The other states are like, what? That's what they're doing. So here, states, I'm going to help you guys out. Some of the states out there are turning the birth certificates into negotiable instruments, bonds, securities, things that can be put a QSIP on there, and they're trading them. If you guys didn't know, but some of you guys probably do know, you just don't want to do that to your people, or you guys are American, and that's the American way of doing it. I don't know. Now I'm going to throw this out there. If you guys are going to use my information, including the states, and you're going to make some money, then I expect a quarterly check, because that's how business is done. But I digress. You guys won't. And I know the board members watch these videos too. So, because I've been told. I'm just reading y'all stuff. I'm just leveling the playing field just a little bit. Y'all still got the big daddy piece of chicken. Okay. And if y'all was doing, for the ones who are doing illegitimate business, or the ones who are doing business, not against you guys. Matter of fact, this should help you guys make more money as long as you guys do good business. But if you're out there scamming or fraud or whatever else, then hey, it is what it is. Because all this is public knowledge, and we are in the time of the awakening. And you guys know what that means. So we're awakening minds, illumination. We're in the time of the illumination. How about that? So the states, when they get your certificate of live birth, and we know like Pennsylvania will not give it to you for corporate reasons until after 108 years, unless you sue them in a higher court. So you must really want that document. But most of the other ones are different. You can usually get a copy, but see, they won't give you the original. Once again, you can ask, but they want to keep it because this way, if you ever need it in the future, or your ancestors, they'll have a copy. I wonder if it gives them some type of limited or partial jurisdiction or illusionary jurisdiction. But if somebody has what's considered a title to a vehicle or a master one, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so what they do is they take the original, and some of them will make their own version and give you that one. That's the birth certificate. But some of them will take these originals on your documents that go this way, take their document that goes this way, but take your original information that goes this way, and they'll put it like this on there. Take a snapshot. Keep the original in the house. Because I know I would like, if I'm the man of the hour, I want to keep the method documents. Because that's where the real cheddar is made. Okay. So that's called a certified record, certified birth certificate, because it's on their paper, but it's your information, which means this is certified that it has the same power as the original. And this one's fine to use. This one you do not have to also authenticate. It's in the proper everything. It's a slight mix of the jurisdictions. I know we always say not to mix it, but they do it. Because if you mix dog poo and grandmama's chocolate icing yellow cake, it's all poo, isn't it? It's kind of messed up. But in this weird position, legally, the Department of State looks at that as that the only thing that matters there is that we have the original information on there. So most of these places won't authenticate it because it's already authenticated and it's certified that it's the same as the original. So you're good. Now, one of the last ones I'm going to talk about, and this is kind of rare, is the born abroad. We did make a video on this. Apparently some people haven't seen it. So hopefully people get this, even though I've only probably done like maybe 20-ish after all this time. The born abroad, meaning you were born on a ship, you were born on a military base in another country, you were born right on the line between countries, et cetera, yada, yada, yada. You can get a copy from the government, from the military. Department of State should be able to retrieve it. You do not need to authenticate it. Matter of fact, even with the passport process, you do not need, you still fill out the document the correct way, but you do not need the explanatory statement especially when you're using that one. It is given right from the government, the American de jure part of it. You are good. If you've been naturalized, same thing. You use your naturalization certificate. Fill out the passport the correct way or the way that you choose if you want to be whatever you desire. We don't promote just our stuff here. And you'll find that that is all you need. Fill out everything the correct way, use those documents, and you are good. So every time I get emails on these things and I know it or I research it, then I will make a video so that you guys don't have to do consultations with me all the time. But if you want specific information or your situation is unique or interesting, or you've got good inside information, tips, tricks, techniques, you want to cut a path, you want the custom job through the information, then yeah, by all means, hit me up. Please be advised that I'm usually booked about a week out, so please plan accordingly. That's it, guys. I've covered everything I know on all of those documents. A couple of last tidbits. When they issue a document, it's got a gold seal, raised bump, whatever, full faith and credit, et cetera. You cannot, by law, make a copy of it. You cannot. If you don't want to know why, well, this is just my information, my thoughts. It's because most of the time, they have a QSIP on there, and that is a security. We've made plenty of videos on that. You cannot, that's securities fraud then, and it's copyright infringement. they have to make a certified copy from them. Now, I don't know what their internal stuff is, because every time you call, or when I've called, no, that's an internal issue or matter. We don't discuss that with people not in the government, especially not with private people. So sorry, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, I've called. I've done all the footwork. Okay. So when I give you guys information, it's as far as I can get, and that's as good as it's going to get. Because if I can't get it, you most likely can't get it. So that's just the way it is. All right. So the born abroad and the naturalization certificates, you don't have to authenticate. You're good to go as is. All right. But if somebody does have some good information that in relation there that I missed, email me, let me know. Please make sure you can vet it, or at least if you are in a unique position in employment, that can be verified, And once again, nothing illegal. We don't do that here. This is all just the stuff that we should have access to. If it's something that we can do a FOIA request on, then you can put me or somebody else on the trail. Say, hey, you can FOIA request this, this, and this. Because like I said, I don't have all the answers. I'd say a good 30 or 40% of my material at this point in time coming forward is either going to be from stuff you guys have done or the books I'm going to read, because I've exhausted all of the knowledge that I knew. So I'm going to be back in the lab, and I'm going to be on my other YouTube video channels making videos for all the other stuff, because you think I know a lot about this stuff. Oh, wait until you start getting copies of ancient manuscripts and Bibles and Masonic books and old where is it? Used books that are used by lawyers and legislative people and all other goodies, and they got their answers. That's why I don't mind buying used books, my people. Used books, all the cliff notes they put in here, all of their goodies, the exceptions, some of the little conversations they may have had with their teachers, and they write them in there in the back of the books. So sweet. It tastes good. All right, guys. Well, hopefully you were entertained. That is all I have on the authentication process and the birth documents and all of that good stuff. So hopefully you found it entertaining. If you have, please hit that and tap that and all that for me, if you don't mind, and support any kind of way you can. And that is it. The hour draws near. The sun is looking mighty low, big guy. It's time to go back to the wolf cave or the den. And I'll talk to you guys later. So to all my people out there who are in Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, all of those organizations, thank you guys for doing what you're doing, and stay true to yourselves. And I will talk to you guys later. So peace. And for those who don't know, yes, I am an Eagle Scout. All right. Or at least I used to be. Does it ever really go away? I don't know. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Peace.